In the 287th year of the Galactic Accord, the Citadel of Unity floated serenely in the void, its crystalline spires refracting starlight into a dazzling array of colors. Within its hallowed halls, the Galactic Council convened. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to maintain the delicate balance of interstellar peace. Ambassador Zara Chen, Earth's envoy to the stars, stood before the assembled dignitaries. Her crisp blue uniform, adorned with the insignia of United Earth, contrasted sharply with the exotic attire of her alien counterparts. "Esteemed colleagues," Zara began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words, "I come before you today to address concerns regarding humanity's recent, shall we say, passionate response to the Rigelian border dispute." A murmur rippled through the chamber. The Rigelian incident, as it had come to be known, had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. What should have been a minor territorial disagreement had escalated into a show of force that left several Rigelian outposts in ruins and the Galactic Council in an uproar. High Counselor Vex Alia, her tentacles writhing with barely contained agitation, leaned forward. "Ambassador Chen, your people's actions have caused great distress. The Pax Galactica has stood for centuries, yet humans seem intent on challenging its very foundations. How can we trust that Earth will not plunge us all into chaos?" Zara took a deep breath, fighting to keep her own emotions in check. "High Counselor, distinguished members of the Council, I understand your concerns. The incident with the Rigelians was regrettable. But I assure you, it was an isolated event, born of unique circumstances." "Unique circumstances," scoffed Grultak, the Ursan representative. His ursine features contorted into what passed for a sneer among his kind. "Your species has a history of violence that spans millennia. We welcomed you into the galactic community, believing you had overcome your baser instincts. Yet at the first sign of conflict, you revert to savagery." Zara's fingers curled into fists at her sides, but her voice remained level. "With all due respect, Representative Grultak, humanity has made great strides since our admission to the Galactic Accord. We have contributed to scientific advancements, cultural exchanges, and peacekeeping efforts across the galaxy. The Rigelian incident was an aberration, not a regression." High Counselor Vex Alia's eye stalks swiveled, focusing intently on Zara. "Perhaps, Ambassador Chen. But the fact remains that your people's capacity for violence is unsettling. The Council has decided that additional safeguards must be put in place." A hollow display flickered to life in the center of the chamber, showcasing a complex network of satellites encircling a blue-green planet. "Earth. The Harmony Grid," Vex Alia explained, "a state-of-the-art system designed to monitor and, if necessary, curtail aggressive actions from your homeworld. It is a precautionary measure, you understand. For the good of all." Zara's heart raced, but years of diplomatic training kept her face impassive. "I see," she said carefully. "And I assume Earth's government has been consulted on this matter." The silence that followed was answer enough. "Ambassador Chen," Vex Alia's tone was almost gentle, "surely you understand the necessity of this action. The Pax Galactica must be maintained, at all costs. Human fury has been contained before. This is merely an extension of existing protocols." Zara's mind whirled, calculating the potential fallout of this decision. She opened her mouth to protest, to argue for Earth's sovereignty, but the sound of an incoming priority message cut her off. The hollow display shifted, revealing the haggard face of Admiral Kuri, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces. "Ambassador Chen," he said, his voice tight with barely contained emotion, "we have a situation. It's the Nova Lisboa colony. It's gone." The chamber erupted into chaos as Zara's world tilted on its axis. Nova Lisboa, where her daughter had been stationed as a xenobotanist, where her grandchildren had been born. In that moment, as the Galactic Council buzzed with speculation and concern, something awakened in Zara Chen. Something primal, something that millennia of civilization had sought to tame but never quite succeeded. The fury of a human mother, ignited by loss and fanned by the flames of an uncaring universe. The Galactic Council thought they had contained human wrath. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The next few hours passed in a blur for Zara. She vaguely remembered demanding answers, her usual diplomatic finesse abandoned in the face of personal tragedy. The Galactic Council, caught off guard by the sudden shift in demeanor, had little concrete information to offer. Nova Lisboa, a thriving human colony on the edge of explored space, had gone silent. Initial scans showed massive energy signatures consistent with high-yield antimatter detonations. The entire surface of the planet had been rendered uninhabitable. As Zara paced the confined space of her quarters aboard the Earth diplomatic vessel Concordia, her mind raced. Images of her daughter Lyra, of her grandchildren Jen and Arya flashed before her eyes. Their laughter, their dreams, their future, all potentially reduced to ash in an instant. A chime at the door interrupted her spiraling thoughts. "Enter," she called out, her voice hoarse from hours of arguing with council bureaucrats. Captain Eleanor Rossi stepped into the room, her usually immaculate uniform showing signs of strain. "Ambassador," she said, her Italian accent thicker than usual, a sign of stress. "We've received new information from Earth Command." Zara straightened, forcing herself to focus. "Tell me." Eleanor's dark eyes flashed with a mix of anger and determination. "It wasn't a natural disaster or an accident. Nova Lisboa was attacked. We've detected warp signatures consistent with Vralkar ships leaving the system. The Vralkar, a species known for their isolationist policies and general disdain for other races. But they had been quiet for decades, content to remain within their own territory. An unprovoked attack of this magnitude was unprecedented." "Why?" Zara whispered, more to herself than to Elena. "Why Nova Lisboa? Why now?" Elena shook her head. "We don't know yet, but Ambassador, there's more. Before the colony went dark, they managed to transmit a partial data burst. It's mostly corrupted, but—" She hesitated, her professional demeanor cracking slightly. "What is it, Elena? Tell me." The captain tapped a command into her datapad, and a holographic image flickered to life between them. It was grainy, distorted, but Zara would recognize those faces anywhere. Lyra, her beautiful daughter, holding little Arya close. Jen, barely 5 years old, his eyes wide with fear. Behind them the sky burned. A strangled sob escaped Zara's throat as she reached out, her fingers passing through the hologram. The image stuttered, and suddenly Lyra was speaking, her words cutting in and out. "Under attack. Don't know why. Tried to evacuate. Bunkers might hold. If anyone gets this, please, help us." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving Zara and Elena in stunned silence. After what felt like an eternity, Zara spoke, her voice low and dangerous. "They're alive. My family, the colonists, some of them must have made it to the bunkers. We need to mount a rescue operation immediately." Eleanor shifted uncomfortably. "Ambassador, I understand your feelings, but we need to be realistic. Even if some colonists survived the initial attack, the planet's surface is—" "I don't want to hear about realistic, Captain." Zara cut her off, a steel entering her voice that Elena had never heard before. "I want solutions. Options. Now. Ma'am, even if we had the resources for such an operation, we'd need clearance from the Galactic Council. The Harmony Grid—" "To hell with the Harmony Grid," Zara exploded, slamming her fist against the wall, the pain barely registered. "The Council sat by and let this happen. They're too busy wringing their tentacles over human aggression to see the real threats." She turned to Eleanor, her eyes blazing with a fierce determination. "Set a course for Earth, maximum warp. We're going to need resources that the Council won't provide." "Ambassador," Elena said carefully, "what you're suggesting, it could be seen as a violation of the Galactic Accord. We could be starting a war." Zara's laugh was bitter, devoid of humor. "Captain Rossi, war has already been declared. The Vralkar saw to that when they attacked a civilian colony without provocation. Now it's time for humanity to answer." As Eleanor saluted and left to carry out her orders, Zara turned back to the stars streaking past her viewport. Her diplomatic mask, cultivated over decades of service, had cracked. In its place was something older, something that reached back to humanity's earliest days. The Galactic Council had sought to tame human fury, to chain it with laws and accords and shining grids in the sky. They thought they had succeeded. They were about to learn how wrong they were. For in the heart of Zara Chen, ambassador and peacekeeper, a primal force had awakened. The wrath of a mother, burning hotter than any star, ready to tear apart the very fabric of galactic society to save her children. The hunt was on. The Concordia dropped out of warp on the edge of the Sol system, the familiar blue marble of Earth dominating the viewscreen. But the homecoming was far from peaceful. A flurry of transmissions assaulted their comms the moment they arrived. Ambassador Chen, the stern face of Fleet Admiral Yuki Tanaka, filled the main display. "You are ordered to report to Lunar Command immediately. Your actions have caused quite the stir." Zara straightened, meeting the Admiral's gaze unflinchingly. "With all due respect, Admiral, I'll brief the appropriate authorities once we've assembled a rescue fleet for Nova Lisboa." Tanaka's eyes narrowed. "Ambassador, perhaps I wasn't clear. This isn't a request. The Galactic Council is in an uproar. The Harmony Grid detected your ship's departure from Citadel space without clearance. We're on the brink of a diplomatic crisis." "A diplomatic crisis?" Zara's voice was quiet, dangerous. "Admiral, Nova Lisboa lies in ruins. Thousands of our people are dead or dying. My daughter, my grandchildren, they're trapped on a planet turned to ash. And you want to talk about diplomatic crises?" The Admiral's expression softened slightly. "Zara, I understand your pain, but we can't just—" "Can't what?" Zara interrupted, her calm finally shattering. "Can't defend our own. Can't show the galaxy that humanity won't stand idly by while our children burn. The Vralkar attacked us, unprovoked. The Council did nothing. It's time we took matters into our own hands." A tense silence followed, broken only by the soft beeps of bridge instruments. Finally, Tanaka spoke, her voice heavy. "Report to Lunar Command, Ambassador. We'll discuss our options there." The transmission cut off, leaving Zara standing in the center of the Concordia's bridge, fists clenched at her sides. She turned to find the entire bridge crew staring at her, a mix of awe and apprehension on their faces. Captain Rossi cleared her throat. "Your orders, Ambassador." For a moment, Zara was tempted to damn the consequences and set a course straight for Nova Lisboa. But decades of political maneuvering hadn't been for nothing. She knew that to save her family, to avenge her people, she'd need resources. Allies. "Take us to Lunar Command, Captain," she said finally, "but be ready to move on short notice. I have a feeling things are about to get interesting." The halls of Lunar Command bustled with activity as Zara strode purposefully towards the main situation room. Whispers followed in her wake. News of Nova Lisboa had spread quickly, and her unorthodox return had only fueled the rumors. As the doors to the situation room hissed open, Zara found herself face to face with not just Admiral Tanaka, but a host of Earth's top military and political leaders. And at the center of it all, a face she hadn't expected to see. "Madam President," Zara said, inclining her head slightly to the stern-faced woman at the head of the table. President Adaeze Okoro, the first leader of the United Earth government to come from the off-world colonies, fixed Zara with a penetrating stare. "Ambassador Chen, I understand you've had quite the eventful return journey." Zara took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. This was it, the moment that would determine not just the fate of Nova Lisboa, but potentially the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. "Madam President, honored leaders of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her heart. "I come before you not just as an ambassador, but as a mother, a grandmother, and a human being. Nova Lisboa burns. Our people suffer. And the Galactic Council, the very institution meant to prevent such atrocities, sits idle." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We have played by their rules for too long. We have allowed ourselves to be muzzled, to be seen as the galaxy's unruly children who need to be contained. But no more. It's time to show the Vralkar, the Council, and every other race out there what happens when humanity's fury is truly unleashed." A murmur ran through the assembled leaders. Admiral Tanaka leaned forward, her expression grave. "What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador?" Zara's eyes blazed with determination. "A rescue mission, first and foremost. We have reason to believe there are survivors in the colony's deep bunkers. But beyond that, a reckoning. The Vralkar must be made to answer for their crimes, and if the Council won't dispense justice, then we will. You're talking about war, President Okoro said, her voice carefully neutral. I'm talking about survival, Zara countered. About sending a message to the galaxy that we are not to be trifled with. The Harmony Grid, the Pax Galactica, their chains, meant to keep us docile, it's time we broke free. The room erupted into heated debate. Voices argued back and forth, weighing the risks, the potential consequences. Through it all, Zara stood firm, her gaze locked with President Okoro's. Finally, the president raised a hand, silencing the room. Ambassador Chen, what you're proposing goes against everything we've worked for since joining the galactic community. It could lead to our isolation, even our destruction, if the other races unite against us. Zara's heart sank, but before she could protest, Okoro continued. However, the president's voice took on a steely edge. I will not stand by while our people suffer. Nova Lisboa was my home once too. I know those bunkers. I helped design them. She stood, her decision visibly solidifying. Humanity has played the part of the obedient junior partner in galactic affairs for too long. It's time we reminded everyone out there what we're truly capable of. She turned to Admiral Tanaka. Assemble a fleet. Officially, this will be a humanitarian mission to Nova Lisboa. Unofficially, we're going to send the Vralkar a message they won't soon forget. A ripple of shock ran through the room, quickly replaced by a surge of determination. As the leaders of Earth began to mobilize, laying plans for what would undoubtedly be a turning point in galactic history, Zara felt a glimmer of hope spark in her chest. Hold on, Lyra, she thought fiercely. Hold on, little ones. We're coming. The flames of human defiance, long banked but never extinguished, were about to roar back to life. And the galaxy would tremble in their wake. The Harmony Grid, designed to monitor and control human military activity, found itself outmaneuvered by a flurry of falsified peacekeeping mission reports and cleverly disguised ship movements. It was a testament to human ingenuity, and a stark reminder of why so many in the galaxy feared what humanity might do if left unchecked. Zara stood on the bridge of the UES Nemesis, Earth's newest and most advanced warship. Around her, a fleet of 20 vessels hung in the void, their sleek hulls gleaming in the light of distant stars. Each ship bristled with weapons that skirted the edge of Galactic Accord regulations, and some that boldly stepped over that line. Ambassador, Captain Rossi's voice cut through Zara's thoughts. She had insisted on commanding the Nemesis herself, citing her familiarity with Zara's unorthodox methods. The fleet is ready. We await your word. Zara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. This wasn't just about her family anymore, it was about humanity's place in the galaxy, about breaking free from the chains that had bound them for too long. Send the signal, she said, her voice steady. Operation Prometheus is a go. As one, the fleet engaged their warp drives. The stars stretched into lines of light, and humanity's retribution began its journey across the cosmos. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Alarms blared through the Citadel of Unity as reports flooded in from across Confederation space. High Counselor Vex Alia's tentacles writhed in agitation as she absorbed the information pouring in from a dozen holographic displays. Impossible, she muttered. The Harmony Grid should have prevented this. How did they manage to assemble such a force without our knowledge? Grultak, the Ursan representative, growled low in his throat. I told you we couldn't trust the humans. Their capacity for violence, for deception, we should have never allowed them into the Confederation. Calm yourself, Grultak, Vex Alia snapped. Recriminations can wait. Right now, we need to contain this situation before it spirals into full-scale war. A new alert chimed, and a holographic image of Zara Chen materialized in the center of the chamber. Her eyes blazed with a fire that made even the battle-hardened Grultak take a step back. Members of the Galactic Council, Zara's voice rang out, clear and unwavering. I speak to you not as Earth's ambassador, but as a representative of humanity unleashed. You sought to tame us, to bind our strength with pretty words and shining chains in the sky. You forgot a fundamental truth. Humanity's fury, once roused, cannot be contained. She paused, letting her words sink in. We go now to Nova Lisboa to save our people and bring justice to the Vralkar. Do not attempt to stop us. Any ships, any forces that stand in our way will be considered complicit in the atrocities committed against our colony. The age of human subservience is over. We will forge our own path among the stars, with or without your blessing." The transmission cut off, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Vex'Alia was the first to recover. "Deploy peacekeeping forces to intercept the human fleet. We cannot allow this violation of the Accords to—" "Begging your pardon, High Counselor," a new voice cut in. Ambassador Zoran of the Etheri, a race known for their precognitive abilities, stepped forward. His silvery eyes seemed to look beyond the present moment. "I would advise against such action. The humans, their path is clouded to me, but I sense great change coming. Trying to stop them now would be like trying to hold back a supernova with our bare hands." Grultak snarled, "So we just sit back and let them rampage across the galaxy? What of the Pax Galactica?" Zoran's smile was sad, knowing, "The peace we've known, Grultak, has been an illusion. A fragile thing maintained by oppressing the very qualities that make each species unique. Perhaps it's time for a new order, one forged in the crucible of true understanding rather than forced compliance." As the council erupted into heated debate, Vex'Alia found her gaze drawn to the starfield visible through the citadel's crystal walls. Somewhere out there, humanity's wrath was blazing a trail across the cosmos. And for the first time in centuries, the future was unwritten. The Vralkar border loomed before the human fleet, an invisible line in space that had stood inviolate for generations. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Zara felt a moment of hesitation. Crossing that line would change everything, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. "Ambassador," Captain Rossi's voice was soft, understanding. "The fleet is holding position. We await your final command." Zara closed her eyes, seeing again the holographic image of her daughter and grandchildren, terror etched on their faces as their world burned around them. When she opened them again, there was no trace of doubt left. "Take us in, Captain. Full speed ahead." The Nemesis surged forward, its powerful engines flaring to life. Behind it, the rest of the fleet followed, a spear of human defiance hurtling towards destiny. As they crossed the border, alarms blared and warning messages flooded the comms. Zara silenced them with a gesture. There was no going back now. "Attention all ships," she broadcast to the fleet. "This is Ambassador Chen. As of this moment, we are at war with the Vralkar. Show them no mercy, for they showed none to Nova Lisboa. But remember, we are not here for blind vengeance. We are here for justice, for rescue, and to show the galaxy that humanity will no longer be chained." A chorus of affirmatives rang out across the fleet. Zara felt a swell of pride in her people, in their determination and their strength. "Battle stations," Captain Rossi ordered, her voice tight with anticipation. "Weapons hot. Prepare for incoming hostiles." As if on cue, the first wave of Vralkar ships appeared on their sensors. Sleek predatory vessels that had struck terror into the hearts of border worlds for centuries. But not today. Today they faced the unleashed fury of humanity. And they would learn why the Galactic Council had sought so desperately to keep that fury in check. "All ships, engage at will," Zara commanded, her voice ringing with authority. "Let's remind the galaxy who we are." The human fleet surged forward, weapons blazing, carving a path of retribution through the stars. The Vralkar, caught off guard by the ferocity of the attack, found themselves on the defensive for the first time in living memory. As the battle raged around her, Zara's thoughts turned once more to Nova Lisboa, to her family trapped on that burning world. "Hold on," she thought fiercely. "We're coming, and heaven help anyone who stands in our way." The wrath of humanity, so long contained, had finally broken free. And the galaxy would never be the same. The battle for Nova Lisboa's orbit was swift and brutal. The Vralkar, accustomed to being the predators of the galactic frontier, found themselves woefully unprepared for the fury of Earth's fleet. Human ships moved with a coordination and aggression that left their enemies reeling, utilizing tactics that seemed to border on suicidal madness. Until they worked. From the bridge of the Nemesis, Zara watched as the last Vralkar cruiser fell to a barrage of quantum torpedoes. The path to the planet was clear, but the real challenge was only beginning. "Status report," she demanded, her eyes never leaving the scarred face of Nova Lisboa below. Captain Rossi's voice was grim as she relayed the information. "The planet's surface is... It's bad, Ambassador. Atmospheric toxicity is off the charts. Radiation levels make prolonged exposure lethal. If there are survivors, they won't last much longer without aid." Zara's fists clenched at her sides. "What about the bunkers? Any signs of life?" There was a tense moment as the sensors probed deeper. Then a flicker of hope. "We're detecting faint power signatures from several deep bunker complexes. It's weak, but there are definitely survivors down there." A collective sigh of relief went through the bridge. They hadn't come too late. Not yet. "Prepare landing parties," Zara ordered. "Full hazard gear, maximum life support. I want those survivors out of there yesterday." Captain Rossi hesitated. "Ambassador, protocol dictates that you remain on the ship during such a high-risk operation." Zara fixed her with a steely gaze. "My daughter and grandchildren are down there, Captain. Wild horses couldn't keep me on this ship. Now, are you going to try to stop me, or are you going to hand me a hazard suit?" A ghost of a smile flickered across Rossi's face. "I'll have one brought to your quarters immediately, ma'am." As Zara turned to prepare for the descent, alarms blared across the bridge. "Multiple warp signatures detected," the tactical officer shouted. It's the Galactic Confederation fleet." On the main view screen, a massive armada shimmered into existence, hundreds of ships representing dozens of species, all bristling with weaponry that made Earth's fleet look like toys in comparison. "They're hailing us," Rossi reported, her voice tense. Zara squared her shoulders. This was the moment that would determine not just the fate of Nova Lisboa, but potentially the future of humanity in the galaxy. "On screen," she commanded. The face that appeared was not one she expected. Instead of High Counselor Vexalia or one of the other Galactic Council members, she found herself looking at Ambassador Joran of the Etheri. "Ambassador Chen," Joran's melodious voice filled the bridge. "I must say, you've caused quite the stir." Zara's voice was steel. "If you've come to stop us, Ambassador, I'm afraid you're too late. We will save our people, consequences be damned." To her surprise, a small smile played across Joran's ethereal features. "Stop you? My dear Ambassador Chen, we've come to help." The bridge fell silent, shock palpable in the air. Zara found herself momentarily speechless. I don't understand," she finally managed. Joran's expression turned serious. The attack on Nova Lisboa was not just a crime against humanity, but against all civilized beings. The Vralkar's actions and the Council's initial hesitation to act have forced us to confront some uncomfortable truths about the state of our Confederation. He paused, his silvery eyes seeming to look beyond the present moment. "Your actions, while technically in violation of the Accords, have demonstrated a moral courage that many of us had forgotten. You've reminded us that true peace cannot be built on oppression and fear, but on mutual respect and the willingness to stand up for what's right." Zara felt a lump forming in her throat. "So, what happens now?" "Now," Joran said, a hint of excitement in his voice, "we save your people, and then, Ambassador Chen, we reshape the galaxy, together." As if to punctuate his words, the Confederation fleet began to move, taking up defensive positions around Nova Lisboa. Shuttles and rescue craft began launching, their crews prepared to brave the planet's toxic atmosphere. Zara turned to Captain Rossi, tears of relief and determination shining in her eyes. "You heard the Ambassador. Let's go save our people." As the rescue operation began in earnest, Zara felt a profound shift in the air. The fury that had driven her across the stars was still there, but it was tempered now by something else. Hope. Not just for her family, but for a new future, one where humanity could stand tall among the stars, unbowed and unbroken. The inferno of Nova Lisboa had forged something new. And as Zara prepared to descend to the planet's surface, she knew that the real work was only just beginning. The galaxy was changing, and humanity would be at the forefront of that change. The chains were broken, and the stars themselves trembled in anticipation of what was to come.